Bauer. So if you do have a question, please use the raise hand function. All right, Bo, and we will go ahead and get started. Your first question is from johnfineran. And John, I believe you're on mute.
Yep, I got it. Hi, Bo. Listen, I just want to talk to you. My question to you was, take us back through the interception, what you were seeing in that situation, and talk in general about the play of the defense this season.
Well, with the interception, I was just in my back pedal, just reading the eyes as a quarterback, and I just ended up being in the right position. But we had a lot of guys on the field doing the right jobs. They're covering up people, covering up the quarterback's first looks. The D lineman put them in a stressful situation. You end up just making that choice, and I just happened to be on the receiving end of the interception. And I describe the defense as it's just been the evolution, adapting with new people in different roles and having a lot more people play this year. It's been really fun to see a lot of new people, young people step up and do a good job. And so it's just been the evolution by a lot of people in a lot of different position groups this season.
We will go next to Doug Farmer.
Bo, Coach Kelly seemed to indicate the team really relished your interception, celebrated on the sidelines maybe more than usual. What of that did you see, and what went through your head as you see that reaction?
It just made me really happy to see my teammates be that happy for me, and they just support me through my ups and downs and throughout my time here. It hasn't been a very straight path. There's been some up and downs, but just to get to the point where I have a little success like that and to see them celebrate it for me, it really meant the world to me.
As a reminder, please use the raise hand function if you do have a question. We'll go next to Angelo Di Carlo.
Well, Coach Kelly was pretty outspoken after the game about, making sure you guys are playing at the championship level for future games to be at the level you need to be. When he started telling you guys that at some point last week, I guess, what was your reaction? Because I'm sure for your entire life, you've heard coaches say one game at a time, one game at a time. For him to kind of start talking about the future and where you guys need to be, what kind of went through your mindset as you heard that?
No, I brought it up to Coach Lee. I was a little confused at first, but Coach Lee helped me walk through it. And he's just talking about we just got to play loose and free. And sometimes you got to take a step back and remember where you're headed. Because if you're always under a microscope, you can't really see the big picture. So together, we just really it helped us focus on our long-term goals while not forgetting that being in the moment is key in our success.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Hey, Bo, what are some of the technical differences between the Mike and Buck linebacker? Do you feel like your skill set fits the Buck linebacker as well?
There are some differences there, different roles, different fits. They ask them to do some different things. And, for me fitting there, it's whatever my coaches want me to do. I put the team first, and wherever the coaches think I can add the most value to the team, that's where I'm going to be. So I don't really think about should I play a different position than what I'm doing right now. I just want to be exactly where my coaches want me and where it's best for my team.
And we'll circle back to Doug Farmer.
Well, we've talked to some of the older guys, I think namely Dalen and Jeremiah, about Coach Lee simplifying the defense, if you will, after the Florida State game. I'm curious to hear from somebody like you who hasn't seen as many snaps as those two. When it's simplified, how did that affect you, and how does that help moving forward?
Coach Lee's done a great job of stepping back and just realizing that he wants us to play with instinct. And so instead of him always he always tells us, instead of trying to get us in the perfect defense, the perfect call every single snap, he just wants to get us in the call that he knows we can have success in and just go let us play football. He's really just changed into wanting us to have fun all the time and really just promoting us to play fast, physical, and free to our best. So it's a big difference just allowing us to go play instead of having to think about everything all the time. And Coach Lee's done a great job of equipping us to do that.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Bill, to follow up on that, when you talk about coach not wanting to worry too much about getting you in the perfect call, does that mean your guys' like just pure number of calls that you would run in a certain game has gone down? Or you're just kind of to the point where you're kind of focusing on, all right, you have these few things that you do well, just run those few things and go play instinctively, like you said?
I don't think the call list per se has gone down. We're still always focused on preparing to our top level, but I think it's just more surrounding of getting the call in a timely manner and making sure that things that aren't working throughout the week are discarded. But coming into the week, we still try to have a variety of calls that can put us in successful positions.
We'll go next to Carter Carls.
Bo, what do you think went into and was the biggest contributor to you not seeing the field as much beyond special teams in your first couple of years? And then overall this offseason, what did you make your big focus? Like if there were one or two things that you felt like, okay, if I improve this and I can really see the field, what did you feel like helped you get to where you are now?
Well, the first step was I sat down with Coach Lee and we talked about intensity level. And people perform at their maximum performance at different levels. I always try to be a 11 on the 10 scale, and I've since backed that down to 3 or 4, which has allowed me to really breathe and focus on the things I need to and not be so all over the place all the time. And throughout this offseason, Coach Lee and Coach Nick have done a great job, gone to serious extents to help me in my coverage and understanding what we're doing and to make me really feel comfortable in coverage overall. And so I'd say that's definitely the main thing that we focused on during quarantine and this summer.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Hey, Bo, your trip last week into Pittsburgh was kind of condensed, a little bit condensed, I guess, from what it normally is. Did you find that to be better or worse? Do you have a preference?
To be honest, I liked it. I liked being able to just go to the same place and eat dinner on Friday night, somewhat of a similar routine. Being in an environment that you're used to is always nice and comfortable, and just to go there and end up going to sleep and waking up the next day and getting ready to play a game, it's pretty nice to me. I like being able to be on the plane after all the meetings and work is done for that night, but either way, I think the team and I know specifically the defense will be ready to go either way.
We will circle back to Angelo Di Carlo.
Oh, Coach Kelly had pretty high praise for Georgia Tech's quarterback and running back. What do you see from them that makes them a difficult matchup?
I see two individuals who are elite performers. The quarterback is good in space, same with the running back. The running back is a good pass catcher, and they're both elite individuals that we have to respect to win this game, and we just have to focus on tackling them, taking them away.
We will wrap it up this evening with Carter Carls.
Oh, just circling back to what you said about going from an 11 to a 3. Is that easy? Was that just boom, you could do it? Or did you have to put things into your regimen, meditating, yoga, just like random miscellaneous things that helped you be more tame, I guess? Was there something that went into that?
Yeah, it was a long, hard-fought battle. At first, I tried to fight Coach Leon. I didn't like it. Always like to be that high-sprung, wound guy. But just over probably about a year and a half, it just through him, through Dr. Selking, Coach Nick, my teammates, they've all helped me move into this role that I kind of just found myself naturally performing at my best there. And I just kind of never looked back. I just feel like it's more natural now. I don't have to, it's never any fake. So I just found success there, and it wasn't a smooth path, and it was definitely difficult to get there. Using different techniques Dr. Selking equipped me with, talking to Coach Lee and Coach Nick, and that back and forth push and pull over the years. But yeah.
All right, and we will end it there. Thank you very much, Bo.
Thank you.
And Kyle Hamilton will be up next. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with Kyle Hamilton. Kyle, your first question is from Tom Noy.
Kyle, obviously this will be your first or your second trip back to Georgia to play a college football game. How have you maybe grown as a player and a person since that night in Athens last September?
I mean, that was an eye-opening experience for it to be my first with just the atmosphere and the team we were playing a situation. But as a player, I think I've grown on a maturity level. I guess that goes hand in hand with growing as a person. But definitely maturity level, physically and mentally, just being more commanding on the field, being more of a leader, someone that everybody can look to. Personally, I feel like kind of the same thing. Like I've just grown up. I had wide eyes in that Georgia game, and I think now things are starting to become more normal for me. So I think I've grown.
We'll go next to Andrew Mentok.
No, I know your parents have mentioned before that being a 6'4" safety is kind of an anomaly, but in terms of modeling your game after other players or players that you look up to at your position, since your position is so unique and there's not a lot of other players with your skill set, is there anyone you look up to, or how do you kind of what players do you look up to in that respect?
Definitely Jamal Adams. I try to just take pieces from everybody's game. So just Jamal Adams, his sideline to sideline speed. Tyrann Mathieu, just his knowledge of the game and just knowing where to be and when to be there. Guys like Sean Taylor just coming down and hitting. Also be able to cover as a large safety. So kind of just take bits and pieces from a bunch of safeties I like games and just try to apply them to mine.
We'll go next to John Finneran.
Yeah, Kyle, I wonder if you could tell me during the recruiting process, was there interest in you and maybe staying home and playing at Georgia Tech, or did you want to get away and chase your dreams elsewhere?
I mean, it was a tough decision leaving home, but I think my family was supporting me because staying in Georgia would have been a great experience, but I also would have been kind of closed-minded, just being around the same people I've been around for my whole life leading up to that, just kind of the same kind of people. But here at Notre Dame and in Indiana, with people coming from all over the world, just a bigger and better experience that I get here as a person, not only just football. So I feel like I've grown more as a result from being here rather than being in Georgia.
We'll go next to Lou Emoji.
Oh, Kyle, attending the Marist School, very prestigious there in the Atlanta region there. How much of an influence academically did that have on to making that decision to come to Notre Dame eventually?
I think Marist prides itself on being a college preparatory school. A lot of people who leave Marist say that Marist is actually harder than college. And I'd probably say the same. Notre Dame, never disrespect Notre Dame, but Marist just has a large workload and a lot of people do extracurriculars as well. So it's kind of a good foreshadowing for what's going to come for college, and I think it prepares you very well.
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Kyle, I was curious about sort of, growing up or in Atlanta, whether it be working with Bob Whitfield or just some of the other athletes you're around, how much that has, I think, maybe prepared you for the spotlight you're in now and being comfortable with it?
Yeah, just being around pros since since I can remember. I think it showed me at a young age how to work like a pro and why everybody's not a pro, because it takes a lot of work. Even if you have the most talent in the world, you still have to work harder than anybody else. And once talent fails to work hard, there's not going to be a good result there. So I think I learned from everybody, whether that be NBA players or NFL players, that you have to work in order to get what you want.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Kyle, we heard Coach Kelly after the game talk about his message of just winning games isn't good enough. What was, one, your reaction to it, and two, what his message has been this week kind of after that initial, I don't know if it was change in tone, but just interesting message anyway?
I think it was kind of relief, and honestly, I think it hyped us up a little bit because we stopped going into games thinking like, okay, let's just
just get a win. Let's get a win this week, 1 week at a time, that kind of thing. I think he has confidence in us and gave off the message that, yeah, we're a good team and we're trying to win games, but we're trying to win games by a lot. We're trying to dominate other teams, which I think and he thinks and everybody on the team thinks we're capable of doing week in, week out. So I think his message to us kind of put something in our minds saying that 12-7 wins over Louisville aren't acceptable. We need to be doing better than that, and we are better than that. And we showed that last week. Hopefully we continue this week and going on the rest of the season.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Hey, Kyle, I want to ask you about DJ Brown and Houston Griffith, two guys that have made their way into your dime defense. Where have they improved since last season, where they're really crucial part of that package now heading into the second half of the season?
I think DJ and Houston and even KJ Wallace, I think they're all three of them are very talented. I think they were just as talented last year. It's just that we had a pretty packed safeties room with two people who are in the league now. And they're getting their opportunities now, and they're doing very well. But I think they've improved, and everybody in the room has improved just on a maturity level, just coming into practice with the right mindset and listening to our coaches and taking notes and stuff like that. So I feel like we've grown more off the field, which translates to good stuff happening on the field.
We'll go next to Angelo Di Carlo.
Kyle, one quick follow-up on Coach Kelly's message. You said it was kind of relieving, but were you surprised to hear it? Because obviously you mentioned the one game at a time. It's what, you always hear in sports. So were you surprised to hear it? And then a different question, just seeing Georgia Tech's quarterback and running back, Coach Kelly had high praise for them. What do you see from them that makes them such a difficult matchup?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was a little surprised to hear it because they're always preaching what's important now, but he had more of a what's important next mindset and told us that we need to step our game up to prove that we're in fact number 4 team in the country, top 4 team in the country. And I think his message obviously worked because we showed that last Saturday. In regards to Georgia Tech, I think their quarterback is young, but he's a really good athlete. We have to be aware of him in the passing games along with the running game. The running back is a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He's a great receiver when he gets out in space and not just going to run swing routes or little cut routes across the field. So we have to be aware of him coming out the backfield as well.
And we'll wrap it up with Tyler James.
Hey, Kyle, I'm curious how you've sort of observed Isaiah Pryor develop at Notre Dame. I'm sure he came here expecting to play safety and has had to move positions. How do you feel like he's handled that and found a way to make an impact on this team?
I think he's handled it very well. I mean, you guys saw it last week. He had a strip sack and got a little hype after it. But I think it's just goes to show that if you just put your head down and work, good things are going to happen for you. And obviously he wanted to play safety, but, I mean, he knows what's best for the team and knows that he has a future at Rover, and he can be a great Rover. And I think we saw a glimpse of that last Saturday, and just the best is yet to come. So I think if he just keeps his head down, keeps working, he's going to be a great player.
All right, we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Kyle. And we'll continue in a few moments with Isaiah Pryor. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with you, Isaiah. And your first question is from John Finneran.
Hi, Isaiah. I wonder if I know you're from near Atlanta and stuff. I wonder if after you left Ohio State, if Georgia Tech had maybe taken a look at you, if you were interested in going there, and do you know any of the players on Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I talked to the head coach a little bit during my process of leaving Ohio State. and they said, there was opportunity for me there. And I know my one of my old teammates I played with, Cornelius Evans. He plays linebacker. But yeah, I mean, they were hitting me up, letting me know that, there was opportunity for me there, but I kind of wanted to get away from home, being that I've been away from home at Ohio State. So I wasn't really trying to go back to Georgia.
We will go next to Matt Fortuna.
Hi, Isaiah. As someone who comes from a program that was in the playoff last year and contends for it annually, and is now at another program that was recently in the playoff and contends for it annually, what do you think the common characteristic is just of the makeup of that locker room that allows you guys to play to a different kind of standard week in and week out?
It's definitely the connectiveness and the brotherhood that we all share, playing for one another, working hard every day, in and out of the weight room, going on the practice fields. It's that connection that builds a strong team, I believe, and I could definitely see that here at Notre Dame as well, as I have at Ohio State, and I'm just happy to be a part of this program.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Yeah, Isaiah, I think you might have heard when I was asking Kyle about you. When you got here, obviously, I'm sure you planned to play safety and you've been asked to make that position switch. How have you sort of handled that, and what have you sort of embraced about that move for you?
Moving to Rover has been, a great experience for me. I feel like I played a decent amount of it in high school, actually. So it was something that I felt comfortable doing, going in there, playing more of like a hybrid position, covering, blitzing, doing that type of thing, and also helping out the team any way that I can. So when they asked me to make the move, it was, no hesitation. Whatever they needed for me to do, I would do it.
We will go next to Tim Priester.
Isaiah, you guys were pretty much in and out of Pittsburgh. You've traveled on the road before. Do you like the quickness of the way that went last weekend, or do you like it stretched out a little bit more over the Friday and Saturday?
Me personally, game weeks, I really want to just go in, get ready to play, especially like leading up to the week, all that anticipation and building that fire to last throughout the whole game is something that, I really get excited to do. So, the quicker the better for me. So.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Hey, Isaiah, I think it's easy for us on the outside to say he's a big safety, can play in the box, and so obviously Rover's a good transition for him. But what is difficult for you over this last month of moving to Rover, and what have you found that kind of fits your game well?
The only thing that I feel like is difficult for me would be just being used to taking on, offensive linemen, coming into gaps, that type of thing, shutting off blocks like that. Other than that, I feel like being in this position is something that helps expose like my attributes as far as like my speed and my length, coming up the field, covering, things like that. And I feel like it shows a lot in practice, and I'm just excited to play. So.
We have one question via the chat from John Bryce. He is asking, what is it about your mindset that allows you to embrace playing special teams, and how does that specifically help you transition into a new role with the defense?
I was always growing up understanding how important special teams is on teams. It's very crucial part of the team. It's something that shouldn't be taken lightly, especially because most of the time it could be the difference between winning and losing the game. So, I take it very seriously, and I try to do my hardest to make sure that, I get my job done, make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, and, being a leader any way I can, even if that is special teams. So.
We will go next to Lou Emoji.
Isaiah, whenever somebody transfers from a school, usually the expectation is, well, he's transferring to be an immediate starter or someplace else, or where he can get more playing time. What was your mindset coming to Notre Dame and your own expectations?
For me, coming to Notre Dame, a lot of it had to do with the education. I am working on getting my master's, a little over halfway through with that. So that was very important to me, making sure that I set up, life after football at a great institution. And as far as playing, I did feel like there was opportunity, and there is opportunity here to play great football with a great team, great coaching staff. And when I was talking to Coach Joseph and Coach Lee, they, really emphasized how, good of an addition I would be to the team. So it was a no-brainer to come here to Notre Dame.
We will go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Isaiah, we heard Coach Kelly talk a little bit about the mindset he wants you guys to have of what's important next and just winning isn't good enough. How similar or how much of a similar effect, if at all, did you hear something like that you're at Ohio State that contends for that championship aspirations every year and made the playoff last year, just like you guys want to do this year? I guess how similar was that message to something you heard at a program like Ohio State?
Yeah, I would say it's very similar, paying up to our expectations. We know how good we can be on this team, and I feel like we need to play that way regardless of who we're playing. We shouldn't play down to the level of our opponents. It is similar to Ohio State. Everything was competition, practice in and out, and that kind of constant competition amongst ourselves will only get us better. Iron sharpens iron. So keeping that mindset throughout the season, I'm sure we're going to have a great chance of playing the national championship.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Isaiah, when you come to Notre Dame, and for any grad transfer, I imagine there's not a lot. It's hard to have patience because you don't have a lot of years left. And once you make that transfer, but you've made the transition to Rover. Has that allowed you to maybe think more about how this move sets you up for maybe next season? And how do you sort of accept that while also trying to get on the playing field this year?
Yeah, well, in my case, I was fortunate enough to graduate 2.5 years. So I still had 2 years of eligibility while also having this extra year because of this COVID season. So that wasn't necessarily like a factor that I felt like I had to worry about that much. But I definitely see myself expanding more into this Rover role, being good at it, and setting myself up for continued education here too. I also plan on getting my MBA here next year. So I'm very excited for what the future holds.
And we will wrap it up this evening with George Bashura.
Hey, Isaiah, kind of piggyback from a couple questions ago about being a grad transfer into Notre Dame and having that experience at Ohio State. What are the type of conversations you've had with the guys about what it takes to get to the national championship and bringing it all together?
Yeah, what I've echoed before, saying that is definitely a mindset and the constant competition, in the weight room, in the practice field, making sure that we get better and have really holding each other accountable. I feel like it's the main thing, making sure that we're all staying on top of each other, playing our hardest, like I said, iron sharpens iron, and just making sure that we all are doing what we're supposed to be doing.
All right, we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Isaiah. And our last student athlete of the evening will be Ian Book in a few minutes. So please raise your hand if you do have a question. All right, we will go ahead and get started with Ian Book. Ian, your first question is from Miles Garrett.
Hey, Ian. Coach Kelly talked about, that WIN acronym, what's important now versus what's important next. How is that mantra sort of, motivated you guys to sort of avoid those, cliche trap game terms, going into, Clemson, for instance, maybe being a couple of weeks away now?
Right. I think it was a good message. It just shows that every game on Notre Dame's schedule is extremely important. Obviously, at Notre Dame, most of the time you got to win every game to do what we want to do and win a national championship. And, I was talking about it earlier, but, obviously Clemson's on the list, and that game's been circled for a while, so it's hard to not think about it. But we got to go. We got a job to do this week, and we got to go down to Georgia Tech and get the win, and then it's time for Clemson. But I think it was the right message just to get guys to understand, that game's been circled on our list for a while now. It's an extremely important game. And I think the guys are just extremely excited for it. And, mostly just that's why you come to Notre Dame. You come to Notre Dame to play in huge games like that. And we have an opportunity, to go out there and play our best and play Clemson. So it's something you see on the schedule. It's something circled for sure. But we got a job to do this week first.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Ian, the travel arrangements this past week to Pittsburgh were condensed. Did you like that, or do you like to get there and settle in, relax a little bit more? And how do guys generally look at night games, both at home and on the road?
Yeah, first part with travel. I like getting there and, seeing places I've never been before. I always enjoy that. I actually enjoy away games a lot. Just kind of, enjoy being with the guys and just traveling and going and seeing a new place I've never seen. But I understand completely with COVID what we got to do. So, it didn't change anything. It didn't ruin anything. We were able to get there, still see, we got that opportunity to go play in Heinz Field. That was unbelievable. And I think it worked, and we got to do what we got to do. So it's fine. Secondly, with night games, it's different for everybody. Obviously, some high schools like mine, we played night game every Friday night, and it was unbelievable. So it's fun every once in a while to have an unbelievable night game atmosphere. It's rough during the day on Saturday, though, when you're waiting all day for that game time. It feels like it's just taking forever. But once you get out there, night games are really fun. There's really high energy.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Ian, we heard Coach Kelly talk to us on Monday about continuing to ascend, I guess, is kind of his follow-up to that what's important next message. As a team leader and someone at an important position, what does continuing to ascend look like to you and mean to you to make sure you guys are peaking when you want to peak?
Again, that was another great message. I think we're starting to just get better at a lot of things, at the right time. We're starting to, go up and up on things that, especially on the offense, with some chemistry things and receivers on the outside making some plays and, with myself getting better. It's just the right time for it. And we want to keep doing that every week. We don't want to have a season that's up and down and up and down. We talk about that a lot. So I think just for our confidence too, we know we can go out there and, every Saturday, our mindset should be to go out there and dominate an opponent. A win is a win, but at the end of the day, we want to win in the right fashion and keep ascending, like Coach Kelly's saying, at the right time.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Ian, I'm not sure. I'm guessing you probably don't think about it in these terms, but I'm going to see if you can consider it. What is the throw you would point to this season that you would say that's the favorite throw I've made, or that's the throw I'm the most proud of, and why would that be?
Probably the third down throw against Louisville, where they pretty much had 11 guys on the ball. We needed the first down, and it was kind of a had to get it. And it was a play we put in that week, probably repped a few times, and we were able to go out there, execute. We were able to fit the ball through a really tight window. Javon did an unbelievable job and kept the drive alive. That was a long drive. It took a lot of time off the clock. That's what we needed. And when you call something like that on third down, it's confidence. And I think that'd be the throw that I would say we needed, had to have it, and we were able to make it work.
We'll go next to Angelo Di Carlo.
Ian, Ben said that he could see your frustration last week coming out of the Louisville game. how frustrated were you, and how much motivation did that provide? And I guess what was the reasons you were so frustrated?
Yeah. Just didn't play to my standard, missed some reads that I shouldn't be missing, and was able to get back in the QB room with Coach Reese and prepare the right way to go out there and forget about it and move on and do what I needed to do against Pitt. But yeah, I mean, I was frustrated with myself. I just wanted to play better. We were able to get the win, but there was stuff out there that I needed to do better. And again, I feel like with the team, we're ascending at the right time. I feel like my game's starting to ascend, and it needs to keep doing the same thing.
Our next question is from Lou Emoji.
Ian, you very quietly have become the second leading rusher at quarterback in Notre Dame history. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I recall, you were labeled coming out of high school as a pro-style quarterback, and you kind of had some objection to that, saying that you're more of a dual threat. How much pride have you taken in your escapability and running skills, and how important they have been to this offense?
A lot. It's really important to me. It's just the player I am. It's how I play the quarterback position. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was labeled as just pro style, but just my escapability and being able to create plays is something I have a lot of pride in. That's how I played the position, and it's just how I've been playing this position forever, and that's how I've been doing it in high school. And I remember I wasn't mad that they've had me a pro style, but I just wanted to, show everyone that I can use my legs when I need to extend the play and, keep the drive alive. And I didn't even know I was the second leading rusher, so that's pretty cool. But again, just it's part of the game that, that I bring to the table, and I have a lot of pride in it. I want to be able to, if something's not there, it's not looking right or collapsing, I want to be able to, get out of my own way and go get the first down and keep the drive alive. So it's part of my game.
We'll go next to John Finneran.
Ian, wondering, got two-part question here.
All right.
First of all, tell me a little bit about what you think about what Michael brings to the table at tight end as a freshman. How impressed are you by him? And then the other question I have for you is, how frustrating was it not to be able to be around and work with here because of everything that happened with COVID?
Yeah, I think you cut out. Work with who?
Working with the receivers that you had coming back.
Yeah. First, Mike is really good. Everybody sees that. Again, his game is just going up and up and up, and he's fun to play with. I know if the ball's in the air, he's a guy that's going to go make a play on it. Got a lot of confidence in him. He's someone that loves the game. He's someone that wants to learn a lot and keep getting better. And there's nothing, more you want to see, as a quarterback. So he's really, really good. And he's going to play football for a long time. That's my opinion. Secondly, with COVID and everything, we weren't able to get, the reps we wanted to in spring ball. And that was frustrating. That happened all around the country, though, with a lot of people. And it was about the teams that were going to, move on from that, not give up and, find a way to get those reps, even though they were missed. So I think this team did an unbelievable job, getting together, having some throwing sessions in the right way and without getting anybody sick. And, we have new guys out there on the perimeter, that wanted to get better and wanted to get the chemistry right with all the quarterbacks. So we were able to do some throwing sessions that I felt, helped us get back to where we would have been if we did have spring practice.
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Ian, I want to ask you about the 73-yarder to Skoranek last weekend. A couple parts of it. One, the pocket kind of collapses up the middle. Often you spin out and take off there. Instead, you take a hit. And also, you throw the ball, I think, 5 yards before he even starts to turn to look at it. So kind of throw into a space instead of a man. Could you sort of just walk through what you're seeing there, why you played it that way, and if that's, kind of one of those ascending points in your game right now, to stand in there and take a hit and chuck it?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of both. I don't want to completely get rid of all my escapability. But at the same time, I want to stay in there and make throws that I can make and, take it on the chin if I have to. So that was one of those plays. The protection was fine. I was in there for a while, there's no problem. And I just knew Ben was going to be able to, he's faster than a lot of people think. So I've been able to see that and work with him. And Pitt's defense is really good, first off, but I know that they were playing some low quarters like that. And we knew, that was part of our game plan. Let's try to, take the top off on the outside. And it was Ben's time to step up and do that. And again, I was thrown to an area. I knew he can go up and get it. He showed that, and he's going to do that the rest of the season. And I wasn't going to escape on that one. I was going to stay in there and let him go get it, and I'm glad I did.
And we'll wrap it up this evening with Tim O'Malley.
Ian, you lost 2 receivers here in the last 6 days. I just want to ask you about the 3 young guys that we really don't get a chance to see much. And I know you worked with and starting in camp, Jordan Johnson, Watts, and Brunell. What do they bring to the table, and how can they help you here as rookies?
Yeah, I mean, one, I just like all 3 of those guys. They're good guys that want to learn. They're young guys that want to learn. That's what you want to see, guys that, maybe weren't playing in the beginning of the year, and now it's the next man in mentality, and they have that. And for example, today's practice was, one of the best Tuesdays we've had, and Jordan Johnson was doing an unbelievable job. He took pride in being up there and knowing the plays for this week, and he had some unbelievable catches, and that's what we need to see. So all 3 of those guys add something to this offense, and I just remember working with them a lot over the quarantine. I got confidence in all those guys to go out there and make some plays, and I think we'll see that here.
All right, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Ian.
Awesome, thanks.